everybody. We should be live and all should be well here. Yep, there we are. Looks like we got sound. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of Critical Conversations. Hey, guys. Thanks for checking in on the comments. And here we go. We are off for another awesome episode, I hope. You see, I am by myself this week. Unfortunately, Melissa is taking the week off because she is not feeling well. She's a little under the weather. We are not expecting that it's anything as insane as COVID. She's just feeling a bit, yeah. And so I was like, well, all right, let's not have you on camera then. And she was like, yes, please. And I said, okay, good. So, but let us first, before we proceed any further, let us check in with the 7 cam. And there he is. Sleeping away today, so we've kind of got that. That's his little cat tree, and we keep 7. We keep that there, and he kind of loves it. He has a sort of a love-hate relationship with that cat tree. He's on it sometimes and not on it other times. So anyway, we'll check back in with him a bit later in the show. But that is our ever-present 7 cam. I always love getting him on camera. It's always a little exciting and fun. I wanted to start the show this week. We are theming this on alternative medicine. I wanted to start by getting to something I have really been bad about, which is thanking and giving shout-outs to my Patreon supporters. And I thought, well, this is a good place as any to do it. Now, I am going to remind everybody that this is a call-in show, and I very, very much want to hear and converse with you. So if you want to talk to me about the topic of the show, alternative medicine, science, anything like that, or pretty much anything else, I'm pretty open. I just, the purpose of the show is to have conversations. So number 984-214-4154. All right, so on my Patreon, guys, let me do this real fast because I'm so negligent with this. And so I want to thank Stuart Gorman. Let me get my glasses on here. And our Cato signed up in the last few days. Dave Hendrick, let's see here. MDR Slacker raised their support each month. Cynthia Pensano, also, thank you very much for raising yours. And Christy Allison raised hers, and Kulani Warner also signed up very generously on my Patreon page. So thank you very much to you guys out there if you are hearing this. I want to thank you for that. And okay, so alternative medicine, especially now in the time of COVID. You know, I am deep down the research rabbit hole on multi-level marketing companies, MLMs. You might have heard of these, such things as Amway, Nutrilite rather. Oh God, so many. Herbalife. Youngings or some younger. There's hundreds of them, maybe thousands at this point, internationally, by the way. Nice American export that we, sort of threw on the world. And MLMs have been, anyway, there's a lot to say on this, but what I really wanted to connect the dots with on that and the show here tonight is that there are even MLMs trying to take advantage of COVID and the COVID pandemic to, sell and tout their nonsense remedies, total bunk nonsense supplements and boost your immune system. This is the sort of thing that Joe Rogan's always going on about, and I'm really, really kind of annoyed with him about that because this whole vitamin thing. I mean, this is part of the research that I've been doing is finding out where vitamins came from because they are integral to the beginnings of the MLM story. Nutrilite was the first MLM ever, and they were producing vitamins. And anyway, they're trying to get on the stick with this. Apparently, FTC has been putting out some warnings lately for certain MLMs who are brazenly violating FTC standards, which is pretty much what you have to do in order for the FTC to come after you as an MLM because they are very soft touch with MLMs, and they've really given them a lot of passes. So, your magic mineral supplement, ex-Scientologist says here. Yeah, let's see. Now, also, there's a question here. White House announced hospital data will now be rerouted to the Trump administration instead of first being sent to the CDC and Department of Health and Human Services. Why? Got me, man. So they can massage the numbers, maybe. I mean, as the question here is, the White House announced that hospital data on COVID-19 patients will now be rerouted to the Trump administration instead of first being sent to the CDC and the Department of Health and Human Services. Why? It's a good question. I have not done any research on that to really give you a very thorough answer on it, of course, because I'm just reading your question now. But I suspect, given the amount of the hole that our president has sort of dug himself in by continuing to double, triple, quadruple down on how this isn't a big deal, how it's going back to normal, how everything's fine, how testing and more testing is causing the numbers to go up, and this isn't really that big of a problem. You know, he keeps asserting this in the face of the numbers and the governors and the mayors of the cities around the United States saying otherwise. So you have to wonder what the hell's going on there. Well, you know, from everything I've read and understand about Donald Trump as our president and that type of personality, they're not the kind of people like the Church of Scientology. They're not the kind of people who are at all interested in saying I was wrong. You know, one of the horrible facts of life. You know, I've said that the 3 hardest words in critical thinking are I don't know. The 3 toughest words to say in critical thinking. They're really hard. But you know what the 3 hardest words to say ever are? It's I was wrong. And Donald Trump is horrible at saying that. It seems incapable of saying it. So he's not gonna, he's not backpedaling. So I can only imagine that there's an effort there to massage the numbers. And apparently per reports that I've seen, just sort of in passing, Trump isn't even talking to Dr. Fauci as the national science expert on epidemiology. And Fauci, of course, is saying the exact opposite things to what Trump is saying. And Trump finds these politically inexpedient, not helpful to him in his reelection and all that, because he has screwed this up so bad. And so we have issues. And it's not to say that all of the problems connected with this pandemic are all connected to Donald Trump. There are multiple failures at every level on this thing that has contributed to our response, our failed response, I think I would be safe to say, towards COVID, And yeah, somebody says, I don't trust Fauci at all. Well, he's the scientist, and I trust him and his degrees more so than I trust a reality show salesman, real estate tycoon. I just do. And yeah, then there's okay. So getting back to the minerals and supplements and vitamins, quite part of this, which is where I really want to be going. I really don't want to go off into political rants tonight. Does Peter Gillum have a vitamin store by Big Blue? Yes, he does. Now, I think Peter Gillum died, and in fact, I'm positive that he did. And he was a old school Australian Scientologist. Janice Grady and others were his kids, and his wife Yvonne Gillum, or Yvonne as she became, Yvonne Jench, was a powerhouse figure in the history of Scientology before she got erased from the history books by Miscavige. So Peter Gillum got a vitamin business going, and that's interesting. Fauci getting paid big bucks to tell us lies. That is an interesting comment. Okay, well, anyway, Gillum set up these vitamin stores and vitamin companies, and was really big on getting in on the Scientology market with his vitamins, and then to the bigger markets and stuff. And Hubbard, of course, was a vitamin fanatic, and he never met a conspiracy theory he didn't like, but he also never met pseudoscience he didn't like. He incorporated all of it practically into Scientology in one form or another. And so, look at the manipulation of energy flows with, Reiki and stuff, and contact assists and touch assists and nerve assists. I mean, Hubbard said that the nerve assist in Scientology was developed specifically to help chiropractors, and chiropractors are, a bunch of the biggest pseudoscience nonsense that you ever heard anything to do with. So, anyway, these things all kind of connect. They're all sort of interwoven. The stories of cults like Scientology and pseudoscience and quackery, and then MLMs, which are really just another form of cult, actually, and then, yeah, CalMag. Hubbard's formulation of calcium and magnesium to sort of ease muscle tension and relax people and stuff ends up becoming this, this powdered drink that people can't get enough of, and which really doesn't do a whole lot of, much of anything for you. So anyway, good times with that. So all right, so let's go ahead, since we don't have any calls yet. And again, I will encourage you to call in. 984-214-4154 is the number. And let's see here. Let's go ahead and start talking about alternative medicine. Actually known now as CAM. As an official abbreviation, complementary and alternative medicine. I'm actually reading right now from the Johns Hopkins Medicine website. I thought I would, check this out. And like MLMs in the business world, and now they have become accepted, even though they are nothing but parasitic cults. A lot of alternative medicine has sort of glommed its way into the medical community, and it's a difficult topic. I get it. There's highs, lows, ups, downs. People have lots of opinions about this, and I get it. And I know that when somebody has an experience and they attribute the experience to a mineral or a vitamin supplement or something as the causative agent, then it's really hard to convince them that maybe there was something else at work there, whether it's placebo or whether it's something else entirely. Could have been a dietary change, could have been an exercise change. There's so many different factors that go into all of our, care and experiences that parsing this down, figuring it all out is interesting. It's an interesting study. It's kind of a fun exercise in critical thinking. And there's a lot of skeptics and people in the skeptic critic world who take this on, and I've actually had them on my podcast. I mean, there's a vet, oh boy, her last name is Day and Trant. Anyway, Sci Babe, Science Babe. She does this flat out, and she's quite good at it. Krista's asking me, what a Scientology funeral is like? It's kind of like any other funeral, really. The only real difference is the words that are read out, sort of saying goodbye to the person and saying, go get another body and we'll see you back around next time. And, it's pretty much like that. Okay, so let's see here. All right. So different types of alternative medicine. Go ahead and go into some of this a little bit. It's interesting because apparently per survey, the last real reliable survey, I think, was 2015, I think. 38% of adults, 12% of children are using some form of CAM, complementary or alternative medicine. Okay? So complementary is where you have techniques or things that are being used alongside of traditional medicine, traditional Western medicine. And then alternative is just you're going straight over into whatever this other practice or methodology or whatever is. And there's quite a few of these, actually. You start breaking it down, and it's actually quite something. There's, for example, there is acupuncture. Go get another body. Yes. Yes, go get another body. Scientology, when I mentioned Scientology is a cult I used to be part of, and one of their beliefs is that you recycle, you keep going. You as a spiritual entity keep going, so you're going to pick up another body. And when the one that you have right now dies, you still live. So that's what I mean by go get another body. Yeah. All right. Get my glasses out here. So traditional alternative medicine. This has become, these things in this subcategory have become so accepted that now they are called traditional alternative medicine. This includes, okay, let's see what we got here. More mainstream and accepted forms of therapy, which does not mean that they are not still total nonsense and absolute horseshit, okay? Oh my God. Acupuncture, Ayurveda. I don't even know what that is. Homeopathy, know all about that. Naturopathy, and Chinese or Oriental medicine. You know, it's funny. Chinese or Oriental medicine that is actually medicine is just medicine. It just the West uses it, you know, like they'll use this stuff, right? But the off weird herby stuff and teas. I remember in Scientology, man, there were these teas we got. That there was this whole craze for these Chinese teas that this Chinese chiropractor was brewing up, and they were the nastiest liquid I think I've ever ingested. I mean, there was one concoction on the RPF I had to drink one day that was worse. Okay, there was one concoction that was worse. It was a mix of vinegar and I think some kind of citric pickle juice or something. That's what it tasted like, vinegary. Hot pepper, cayenne pepper was thrown in there. I think some fruit juice or something was thrown in the mix. I mean, it was disgusting. It was like drinking really, really, really nasty bodily fluids or something. I mean, it was bad. Besides that, the next worst thing I ever had to drink were these Chinese teas, which were brewed in order to try to deal with some imaginary issue that I was having. Not the issue wasn't imaginary, but the idea was the tea was going to somehow magically supplement certain parts of my diet or something in such a way that I was no longer going to have these back pains. Well, guess what? My back pains didn't come from a lack of nutritional supplements. My back pains came from the fact that my back looks like a cursive S in a really like significant way. If you saw x-rays of my back, you'd be kind of impressed. It's quite something. And that was what was causing my pain. And this guy, a chiropractor, by the way, said, there isn't anything we can do about your back, but drink this tea. And that was supposed to solve my problems. Okay, yeah. So let's continue on. Good, we're getting a call in here. Now, first off, though, let me keep going down my list. Oh, yeah, this is so the traditional stuff, homeopathy. Oh, yeah, homeopathy. Any of you guys ever experienced anything with homeopathy? And if you have success stories with this, I'd actually be interested in talking to you too, okay? I'm not gonna, my interest here is not to debate and tell you how wrong you are, but I am interested in your experiences. So, and homeopathy is one of the, just scientifically speaking, it is one of the biggest con jobs in the alternative medicine racket because it is, the homeopathy is the idea of taking a minute, tiny, eensy-weensy little percentage amount of a thing and then putting it in with water and ingesting it somehow, so either through pills or drinking. And it's supposed to, that little tiny eensy-weensy bit of whatever it is that's in there is supposed to have this, gigantic effect on your body and is supposed to cure you or change your condition in regards to, pains, aches, sleeplessness, sleep apnea, etc. Whatever it is that ails you, homeopathy has some kind of cure. And the Saibe was great with this because she actually took an entire bottle of homeopathy sleep aids and just took the whole bottle down, all 50. I think there were 50 tablets in there. Had zero effect on her body because, of course, the entire theory of homeopathy is out to lunch. Okay, good. So let's go ahead and talk with Mark. And hello, Mark. Hey, how's it going, man?
Oh, pretty good. Finally got home in time to listen to you again. It's live. So.
Yay. Well, I'm glad you chose to listen to the show. How you doing today?
Yeah, well, pretty good.
Cool.
Yeah, I've taken all my vitamins, my herbs, my homeopathic remedies, so I'm just
Excellent.
feeling really good now.
Good. Well, what's up?
Now, I do want to comment about some of these things. It's like I think I missed part because when I go on the phone, I don't hear what you said before. Anyway, but the homeopathy thing, I agree. That to me, that has always sounded kind of nuts. Take a drop, put it in a glass of water, take a drop of that, put it in another glass of water, and all these iterations of it. It's like you got
Exactly.
nothing except water at that point. However, the other side of that is, interestingly enough, I got into herbs because of Scientology. Since being in Scientology, you had to be sessionable, so you couldn't take over-the-counter medications, aspirin or anything.
Right.
And apparently, at least at the time, that was an acceptable alternative, was to take herbs.
That's
so a couple
right,
items
because
on that.
that's right, because Hubbard didn't say anything nasty about herbal concoctions. He just said no aspirins, ibuprofen, medicine, without the okay of the church first.
Right. Well, at one point, this was way back in the 70s sometime, I started getting really bad sore throats. I don't know if it's strep throat or just sore throat in general or what. Yeah, of course, you don't go to a doctor either. But I was waking up with horrible sore throats. And I'd run across a book. Jethro, somebody was the author, Jethro Kloss, old guy, is dead long before I bought the book. But he had all these remedies for things that were based on herbs. And so I went through that, looked through it, and found a bunch of things. And, went and bought a handful of them. And sure enough, go home, make it up into a tea, just, brew it. And at that point, I still had a really bad sore throat. And let it cool down enough to drink. And within half a cup, my sore throat was gone. So later on, as this, recurred, different times throughout my life, as I kind of narrowed it down. And for me, if I make sage tea, just like cooking sage, only a better quality than that, into a tea, usually a couple sips, and my sore throat is gone. So,
And tea has been a remedy for sore throat and aches for centuries. I believe,
exactly.
Right? And so clearly there is a chemical reaction occurring there. And I think the Brits have been on to this for quite a while.
The other thing I wanted to say about...
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
the other thing to say about...
Uh-huh.
Oh. We're talking over each other, aren't we?
Please continue.
Okay. The other point on herbs I wanted to make is, you're always hearing about the loss of the rainforest in the Amazon, and it's where all these new pharmaceuticals are possibly down there that they just haven't been discovered.
Yep.
Well, what are they looking for? They're looking for new plants, and those plants have things in them that, treated the right way, become the future pharmaceuticals.
That's right.
So,
and also
looking at it a different way, it's herbs.
Well, that's right. Herbs, and also something I learned watching some documentaries about South America and the search through the Amazon specifically for rare animals as well, because there are some animals that, like frogs, that secrete a certain chemical naturally that is like perfect for drug X or drug Y. So there's the plants and the animals both.
Yeah, the frog thing, I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it was a big thing. I forgot what type it was, but you get one of these full of frogs and you look at it and it gives you a real good buzz or something.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's that too. Exactly. So, I think the native tribes down there were the first ones to figure out that there might be some medicinal and hallucinogenic qualities to some of the flora and fauna around them. And we're just coming late to the party on that one.
Yeah. But anyway, just like I said, putting in my plug for herbs, and there's other ones that I've taken throughout my life, and had some I get really good effects from or results from. Others don't do anything. So part of that, I think, is just personal chemistry.
Exactly.
But
yeah.
And to me, I think it is a very natural way to go, because I am, it's probably a carryover from a number of things, including Scientology. I just do not do well with run-of-the-mill pharmaceuticals.
Right.
Yeah, I'm real reluctant to take them. I've had bad experiences with them, and I'm taking a prescription pill for X, and it may just lighten that up a little bit, but in the meantime, I'm getting all the side effects. And
Right.
that's what kills me, literally, in some cases.
Yeah, well, exactly. And, because we all do have the little peculiarities and individualities of our body chemistry and stuff, and it's really a crapshoot as to what certain drugs are going to do to you. And I really think we're very a little too loosey goosey in our application of even traditional, pharmaceuticals or I mean, that whole thing. We already know that industry has issues too. I'm focusing on the issues with alternative medicine, but let's not kid ourselves that traditional medicine has this all figured out. They don't.
Yeah.
So that also creates problems. It's interesting. I hadn't thought about the thing with Scientology, where, of course, Scientologists would go in for alternative medicine remedies because of the prohibitions from Hubbard on the traditional medicine stuff.
Yeah.
It's like obvious, but I just an angle on this I hadn't thought about. So interesting stuff, man. Thanks for calling in.
No, you bet. Good to hear you.
Yeah, you
Bye.
too. Bye-bye. All right. So let me just catch up a little bit here because we just had a really nice super chat from Chad. Thank you very much, Chad. And also, John asked about the Scientology 10-part special. No, we got nothing. And in fact, if you guys aren't on Twitter, you might want to check out, or Instagram, you might want to check out what Leah Remini's been posting in the last 24 hours, because she's pissed about this. There was a 10-part series on Scientology, which she was in, and Mike Rinder was in. I did a whole talk about this yesterday, so I won't go into too much detail, except to say that they canceled it. They spiked it. And we have no indication that it's going to air at all right now. And the way Leah's talking, she is seriously trash-talking ABC News Australia for pulling this thing. She is really upset with them. And profanely so, and I believe rightfully so. Because we have, none of us, I have no inside skinny, so I don't have any data on why it got pulled. But there is no update right now as I sit here, at least it's come across my plate, as to why that pull happened. And Henny, hey Henny, is asking, bad connection, what category does marijuana fall under? Well, marijuana is still being researched medically, and there is little question that in very specific cases, marijuana has been extremely helpful for seizure cases, for even children who are suffering unduly from pain, from cancer or childhood diseases, as well as, of course, adults and even seniors. If you can filter out if you can get rid of maybe some of I think it's the THC. I'm not sure which initials are which as to which is the medicinal element in marijuana, but because there's the THC, CBD. Anyway, there are elements within marijuana that definitely seem to provide some real amazing. Oh, hey, thanks, Tamara. That seem to provide some really amazing results in terms of pain management and relief, and stress and anxiety management and relief, or depression. So, but that's individual, and it's still being researched. And so we still got a ways to go with that. But medical marijuana is a thing. It seems to be the gateway drug to getting the gateway law to getting the recreational marijuana laws passed. First, they tend to pass the medical marijuana as okay. And state by state, as we're going through and legalizing cannabis, which is pretty much a sure thing at this point that it's going to go all the way. It's going to go. Oh, here's Henny. Click on that. Hello.
Hi, Chris.
Hey, Henny. Yeah, I was just taking it up. I'm good. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Is everything okay with Melissa?
She's fine. She's literally right in the other room. She's just not feeling up to being on video today.
Okay. I'm just glad she's okay.
Yeah.
And we all need a break. So, okay, I'm concerned, as you know.
Of course.
Yes. And we have so much catching up to do. But I really redo between the news of the cancellation of the Black Ops special. Listen, it's already been done, and it's already been completed. So that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
That means that it's there, and that even if this particular station won't air it, that it's going to be aired. Because when public demands something, then it has to happen.
We certainly hope so.
Yeah, I really do. I really believe that. I'm telling you. If not now, later. It's like you don't have to pay now, but you have to pay eventually, and that's the way of the law. That's just karma's law, you know. Pay now or pay later, but pay you will.
Yes.
So I believe in that. And as far as the medical marijuana, you know, for pain management, it really works.
Yep.
I think that it's been long lagged. You know what I mean? Between, you know, we are just learning. Listen, pot smoking's been going on since the Indians. Okay, so let's not even, you know, just because, you know, people didn't want to do it. It wasn't as big as moneymaker as alcohol. Okay, and let's be realistic, and as other drugs, but it really has the most benefit of all of the drugs. Okay, it's not a danger to society. It's more of a help. Both with pain management and other things that you've mentioned, you know, with children that are sick and need that, and you mentioned seniors and anxiety, and also glaucoma. I suffer from glaucoma, and it's not something that's ever going to go away. It will progressively get worse. But what this does is it maintains it. So instead of it being worse, you know, within the next 5 years, I have within the next, you know, like maybe 10 years before it actually gets to that point. You know what I mean?
Oh, totally.
You know.
Yeah, totally. I think, you know, the reason I'm happy about the legalization is because now, totally, like you said, we've known for decades that this stuff helps, but now we have the door open to actual scientific, you know, NIH, you know, sponsored studies on medicinal marijuana that can really get traction in medical journals and stuff, and that really wasn't possible before. So I am excited about that whole door opening, if you know what I mean.
I certainly do. Yeah. More than you understand.
Yes.
Without getting personal, more than you understand.
I get it.
But yeah, I do too. Yeah. And it should be under that. And I'm interested in other types of homeopathic medicine, but there's also other medicines that help. So we have, you know, there's insulin for, you know, for diabetic people, you know, like Melissa was talking about, and my mom is also a type 1. My mom is a type 1 diabetic, which is pretty amazing. She's 75 years old, Chris.
Wow, still going.
With everything. The worst thing is she lost her vision, you know, but she still gets around. I mean, and she's been taking insulin since she was 12 years old.
Wow. And
things have really progressed since then. So there are all types of medications, and not one is necessarily, you know, outdoes the other. But if something works, then we use it.
Exactly. I'm down for that. You know, where I draw the line is when people are making claims about curing stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's, you know, because you can definitely relieve tension, relieve anxiety and stress. And I'm, you know, 1,000% down for dealing with that. But when somebody says, you know, and I'm sure you agree, when somebody says, you know, something like, you know, pot will cure your cancer, then I start going, hey.
Well, then you're entering the cult.
Well, exactly. Then you're getting into the weird stuff. That's right. Exactly.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. You know, and like when somebody says, we have the answers to everything, I'm like, check.
Exactly.
Because there are no answers to everything. That's life.
That's right. And it
that's
really sucks how
that's
right. And it really sucks to me how they take advantage, especially of older people.
Yes,
To suck up all their life savings on these, quack remedies. That's the stuff that drives me crazy.
I know. It does
Yeah.
drive me crazy, too. A
Cool.
lot of stuff drives me crazy. Cool.
Well,
I would slap your hand, give you 5. Okay?
exactly. Thank you,
But
Henny.
we understand. Anytime, my pleasure. Good talking to you
You
and
too.
listening to the show. Have a good night and wish you all well.
Thank you.
Give
Bye-bye.
7 love too.
I will.
Bye. Okay.
All right. And I got another call from Joel here. I quickly want to, as we are, pretty far along here, I do want to check back in with, there he is. There's our 7 cam, and he's, wait, what? Oh, maybe he hears me through the door. Anyway, there he is, kind of, resting. He's resting. He's tired and shagged out after a prolonged squawk. All right, so there is our 7 cam. Now let's take a look here. We have Joel. Let's talk to you. Hello, Joel.
Hi.
Hey, man. How's it going?
It's good. It's fantastic to have the opportunity to talk to you. I absolutely love your videos. I just wanted to mention one thing that you were talking about, like homeopathy and stuff like that, and I couldn't help but think of the placebo effect, like the power of the placebo effect.
That's right.
And I thought it because I have certain friends who actually really put a lot of effort into doing these home remedies and stuff like that. I believe that some of them have validity, but like when you actually look at it, I think it's because they believe so much that this is going to be the trick for them that it actually does become the trick for them.
That's
and
right.
I was just thinking that it's a very powerful thing. I think a lot of people underplay the power of the placebo effect. So that's really all I wanted to talk about.
Well, cool. Well, it's funny because I actually had a couple pages queued up for this exact thing. And let me ask you about something with this and see what you think about it. Because here was the point I was going to make about placebo and placebo effect, is that it definitely does seem to connect. There is a definite, verified effect that happens where some people get a relief of tension or stress or symptoms, and other people don't necessarily, right? Because it isn't really anything but a sugar pill. So you're really operating off of belief. And what this article here talks about, and this is from Harvard Medicine, this is Harvard Health Publishing. It says placebos won't lower your cholesterol or shrink a tumor. Instead, placebos work on symptoms modulated by the brain, like the perception of pain. Placebos may make you feel better, but they will not cure you, says this Dr. Kapchik. They have been shown to be most effective for conditions like pain management, stress-related insomnia, and cancer treatment side effects like fatigue and nausea. What do you think about that?
I would have from my own personal experience from being with friends who really push forward the I guess you could say the holistic type of medicine and stuff like that. I believe we were saying before, I believe some of it does work, but then a lot of it has to do with pain management. And I think you really hit the nail on the head with that one, because it's just their perception of pain really isn't all that great when they're really putting this much effort into trying this type of, I don't know, this movement technique, or trying to focus their brain on certain things or stuff like that. And I also was reading stuff like how the placebo effect will make you it'll reduce your pain, because the brain really is the one that really tells you if you have pain or not.
Bingo.
So I thought it was really I thought it was really interesting. I really wanted to bring that up because I do believe that, in a sense, that actually does help with pain management. But then again, like you said, it won't actually cure you of anything. And that's the big problem. I was listening to the previous caller talking about how you don't ever want to say anything will cure you, especially when it hasn't been thoroughly tested and stuff like that. So.
Exactly. Well, cool, man. Well, thank you for your thanks for calling in about that.
Thank you very much. You take care.
All right, man. Bye-bye. Oh, right. Yeah, that's an important point. That's why I had that queued up on the placebos, because I figured that would come up tonight. Let me check in on the comments. I don't have Melissa on moderation duty tonight, so I'm doing it all myself. But But on the placebo thing, this is actually really important because this goes right in with all the stuff I've been studying on neuroscience and how pain actually works. Is it's a perception we get here, but it's not like chronic pain is something that doctors are still trying to get their wits around because it seems to be generated entirely up here, not necessarily in the body part that's affected. Just because you feel pain in an area doesn't necessarily mean that that area is causing that pain sensation. It's weird. It's weird. Misfires up here can communicate to you that you are experiencing pain even though your body actually isn't, which is just fascinating, right? Not all cases, of course. I'm obviously not saying that's some blanket statement, but it sure is interesting. And so this is one of the reasons why that this placebo effect can be a thing, is because what we believe, what we think, actually does matter quite a bit to how we feel. It's a thing, and it's not a spiritual thing. It's not some metaphysical listen to the universe thing. It's biology. It's neuroscience. It's real hardcore. You can figure this out kind of stuff. We don't have to go into other realms or planes of existence to figure out why it is that pain management might be eased or made easier if we chill our anxiety levels, for example, and if we can take things that will chill us out, herbal remedies, marijuana, etc., then maybe some of those neurotransmitters go into action that wouldn't normally be in action, and the person feels a little bit better. But it's not. Again, we're not talking cures. And and my big argument against alternative medicine as a whole is when it gets into cures, claiming cures, because that kind of stuff just really pisses me off. Okay, and we got another call here. This looks like something different. Nathan, all right. Hello, Nathan.
Yes, hello.
Hi, man. Hey, what's up?
Hey, this is Nathan in New York. What I'm wondering is, I was thinking about cults. You had a whole 2.5-hour special just on that, and what it means to be a cult. And I couldn't help but think, and this is not all Trump supporters. I want to say that from the outset. There's a certain subset of Trump supporters.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I can interrupt you for just a second. When you said my 2.5-hour thing on cults, I've done a lot of work on cults. Do you mean the thing I did with John Atack on governments?
Yes.
Yeah.
Your most recent 2.5 hours.
Yes.
You've done 10 2.5 hours. But anyway,
yeah, I've done a lot of work.
I was thinking, there's a lot of things about certain subsets of Trump supporters that remind me of cult-like behavior in the way that religious people can be. For instance, religious people will say, when they're confronted, oh, God works in mysterious ways, they might say Trump works in mysterious ways. Or instead of saying God is vengeful, they'll say, oh, that's just Trump being Trump, or Trump joking around. And they'll have these, what you would call thought-stopping cliches. And they won't, and another thing that you see with religions and with Trump, the words "I'm sorry" never come out of Trump's mouth. Even when he said, "Oh, grab him by the certain body parts," he just said, "Oh, that wasn't my proudest moment." He didn't actually say the words "I'm sorry." I'm not sure if he's capable of that. Do you think that? Do you think it is a cult? And if not, where do you think the difference does lie?
Yes. Okay. This is a nuanced point. Okay, because this is really, really easily misunderstood. Not every single person in the United States who supports Donald Trump, I don't think even a majority of them, are involved in what we call or have referred to as the cult of Trump. So I had Steve Hassan on my podcast. He actually wrote a book called The Cult of Trump, pointing to it right here. And he made a case as a cult expert for why it is that there is a core body of followers who have firmly put themselves into this camp of being an unquestioning, loyal, dutiful follower of Trump that do not question him in any way. And that's where you get into culty stuff. So yeah, that does exist. That is a thing. You can find this, by the way, around other political figures. It's not like Trump's the only one that this has ever happened with. But his base seems to be, extremely ardent. And this is kind of the folks who I sort of refer to as the MAGA hat wearers, because I think they're pretty much, again, not everybody who's wearing a MAGA hat has to be this way, but, because we're really trying to describe behavior, not appearance. But when you have an unquestioning base of people who, cannot receive criticism of their leader without responding in a, harsh authoritarian, us versus them kind of manner, yeah, you got some pretty big red flags there of cultic behavior, and we definitely have seen that.
Well, I think that in a weird way with cults, or what some might call cult-like behavior, the larger an institution gets, the more seriously it's taken, and the easier it is to stay in that cave echo chamber, like with the Catholic Church and the child molesting scandals. And
yep.
If you're in a group of just 1,000 people, in some small town, it's easier to go online and not be able to easily find your echo chamber of going back. But I think maybe it's gotten to a certain size with the Catholic Church or Trump or these larger religions and political groups where it is easier to stay within the echo chamber.
Yeah, for sure. The size does matter as far as the exposure that we see. How much attention will the media put on it? How much of a threat do people who don't agree with it think it is? And the comparison with religion, I'll just comment on that real fast, that the thing about that is the adoration or love, even if you want to think of it as a corrupted kind of love, which not really, as far as the person themselves is experiencing, they are experiencing a kind of awe or adoration or love for this individual or group or, idea or symbol of whatever that cult leader represents to that person. That same, whether it's Jesus or it's Trump or it's Hillary or it's L. Ron Hubbard or it's Jim Jones, that follower, that relationship, that codependent relationship is firing off the same kind of neurotransmitters and brain regions, right? When we're talking about loyalty, love, dedication, devotion, fanaticism, those things are same across these spectrums.
Something to think about. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you have anything else?
No, I just was thinking, just the world seems more batshit crazy than it used to, and I don't know why. I mean, I think that we're all kind of living in the almost cult of one. I don't know how to describe it. Like if I took myself 5 years ago to now, it wouldn't feel the same. I can't describe why exactly, but there's something weird about people's behavioral patterns that just seems to self-reinforce in a way that perhaps we are our own strongest prison guards in the
yes.
in the prison of our time.
Yeah, well, in the prison of belief. Yeah, I thought that Lawrence Wright, who wrote a book called Scientology, The Prison of Belief. And have you heard about that?
I have. It's a very, very long book, so I haven't had the time to go out and purchase it.
No, it's totally fine. You can also watch the documentary on HBO, and it's a 2-hour invest, and you'll get a lot of good information about Scientology and stuff. But the point that I was going towards there was prison of belief was a phrase that Lawrence Wright came up with that I just immediately loved, because it was so perfect for what people in cults experience. And whether it's religious, political, sports, or personal, or whatever, or even relationships, it can still be this. People are like, well, why don't they just walk away? Why can't you just, because you're in a prison of your own belief. That's why, and nobody has stronger bars, in a more strong prison than you can create for yourself in your own brain,
Yeah, and the truth, when you finally leave that prison, can often be quite painful. In the especially at the beginning, it's quite understandable why people would seek. You see this with heroin users, is that they take it to numb this pain. They finally get off heroin, and then they find, oh wait, there's all this pain. Well, yeah, that's why you started that drug in the first place, was because it was to address the pain.
That's right. Exactly. That's exactly right. And that's why we've got to get cracking on figuring out the, mental anguish, mental pain, mental illness. What is it? Where does it come from? How do we treat it? So that, we're not self-medicating with, heavy pharmacy grade, military grade illicit drugs, There are other solutions out there, but we've got to find them. We got to figure them out, and as far as
mental health is a joke in this country, it's an absolute joke. It's sad.
No, we got so much work to do, and the NIH and NIMH is so far behind the 8 ball on this, and that's a whole nother episode, really. But let me also just speak to something else you said, which is that it's awful hard to tell, and I've been saying this a lot to people lately, is that it's awful hard to tell when you're in the middle of times like this what the context of everything is, because we don't have the hindsight view yet. And so it's hard to contextualize how important is, our politics right now versus this epidemic right now versus, a recession right now versus every other factor that's going on. Dickens wrote, after the French Revolution, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. And the same could be said now. Statistically speaking, things have never been better for, planet-wide in terms of our health, our age, our infant mortality rates. Violence is on the decline. I mean, there's a lot of amazingly good statistics out there. And yet here we are caught up in the crazy of our modern world, thinking everything's going to end tomorrow. So it can be a little difficult when you're in the middle to see what's, the relative importance of things. You know what I mean?
Yes, I see that. You've given me a lot to think about. Thank you.
Cool, man. All right. Well, I'll let you go then. And that's Nathan. Okay, good. And okay, I got another caller there. Just want to check in. Yes. Sorry, Tamara, that we went on to that, but I do like taking calls. So, Texas is asking me real fast. Let me answer this. What book do you recommend the most on the basics of critical thinking? Carl Sagan, The Demon-Haunted World. That is my number one go-to book for critical thinking. Let me get the exact title, and I will always take a few minutes to pimp Carl Sagan. Yes, that's called The Demon-Haunted World: Science as a Candle in the Darkness of Ignorance, or in the dark. Okay, Science as a Candle in the Dark. So that is my go-to critical thinking book, and I cannot recommend it enough. It was the thing that I first read on critical thinking when I got out of Scientology, and it really did change my life. Okay, so now we've got another call here. Mark, I think. Hello.
Yeah, so there's this asshole named Kevin Trudeau that for over 20 years he has been touting these all natural cure books. But if you actually read them, there's nothing in there. Like there's no chapter 5 how to cure cancer and so forth. Just I was just speed reading one of them, and it's just a bunch of anecdotal BS in there. There's nothing hard facts or nothing. And yet there are people out there who actually cling to him, and he seems to cater to the dumb, desperate, paranoid.
And who was the author's name again?
Kevin Trudeau.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. You know he's in jail, right?
Yeah, he's doing a third stint in the federal pen.
Yeah.
And the paranoid people and the paranoid people think he's in prison because he's challenging big pharma.
Yeah, exactly. You know, he tried to push Dianetics for a while, and he was so out there that they actually kicked him out of Scientology.
Huh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was when I was in the Sea Org. He was at Big Blue in Los Angeles, and he was coming around, and he started doing infomercials about Dianetics, and he was trying to get onto that. The guy was one of the biggest get-rich-quick con man I'd ever seen. He had tried to pimp speed reading and vitamin supplements and Dianetics and some other nonsense.
Oh, yeah.
He would jump from one to the next to the next. He was shameless, that guy. And that's exactly the kind of huckster that I was doing this show to talk about, because I hate these guys, you know.
Yeah, the thing is, his book was on the bestseller for a while, but if this book is so great, if the book is so damn great, then how come I can go to a secondhand store and find about 6 or 7 copies of the damn book?
Exactly. You got it, man. All right, thanks for calling in.
Okay.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Cool. I got another caller here, Adria. Yep. Okay, good. We will get to you. Let me just check in. Yep, Sagan's awesome. Okay, good. Yes, Nathan did make some good points. I was glad he called. All right, let's go ahead and... Yes. In the middle of history is like walking in the abyss of uncertainty. Thank you, Henny. That is exactly right. Waxing poetic tonight. Let's hear... any thoughts on why Los Angeles, Hollywood, and California seem to be awash in yoga, alternative medicine, gurus, and cults? Yes. And Reiki healing trend. Ugh, hate Reiki. Okay, any reason as to why? California, I don't know, man. There's something about people on the coast. There's something about those oceans. The weather and everything. I mean, it definitely is an idyllic lifestyle in a lot of California. And I'm talking about over the decades now, right? Over the whole time we've been there. It's been a real, sunspot, place to relax, place to chill. I mean, there's deserts, there's mountains, there's awful stuff there. But it seems like, and especially with Hollywood, that it attracts the creative types. And creative types are kind of this, the personality types I'm talking about. And again, this is over decades now. I'm not talking about 1 or 2 or 3 people. And, and there's all these people who want to get discovered. They end up in Hollywood. And what is it? 1 out of 10,000 or something are going to get a break of any kind. Fruits and nuts, as the saying goes. Yes, I grew up in California. I've always kind of had this place in my heart for California, but it's a little goofy out there. And San Francisco and Berkeley. I mean, there's also a lot of colleges there. And let's not forget that in this mix that I'm talking about of Hollywood and the sort of heat and niceness of the landscape, there's also a lot of colleges. The UC system is made up of 10, 13 colleges or something, and cults love college students. I mean, so many people have been recruited into Scientology and to other cults from college. Because college is the place where you're experiencing your first big, wide, independent, foray into the real world. And of course, we all know what happens to most students in college is they go down the drug rabbit hole, the alcohol party rabbit hole, the sex rabbit hole. They do all that stuff. But there's a lot of people who end up in that situation. And I do say a lot because it's a lot of teens and young adults who end up in this college situation and feel alone, isolated, unsure of what they're doing, having to hit the reset button on their social circles. And that level of uncertainty, that kind of life change, is the kind of thing that invites a cult experience, because people look for different solutions as to how to deal with that change. And Scientology, and like I said, a bevy of other cults are right there for them, recruiting actively on college campuses to this day, and offering their solutions to these kids. And there's a boatload of those things out in California. So, I can point to that. And yes, young, impressionable minds indeed. All right, Adria, let's get to you. Let me get that again. Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
All right. How about you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good tonight. You wanted to discuss
Good.
alternative medicine?
Yes. I wanted to play a bit of devil's advocate, or in this case, naturopath advocate.
Yeah, sure.
And and just maybe add to the discussion from a different perspective.
Fire away.
I have been seeing a naturopath for the last, I think, 2 or 3 years. And as you know, but the other listeners wouldn't, I have several chronic issues physically. And some of them were quite embarrassing. And one of the things that my naturopath did that I did not get from a lot of allopathic doctors is that she was willing to consider other ideas than, if it doesn't fit this little box, then we can't help you.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, I have had my entire life a huge host of digestive issues, and it would result in very unpleasant things that I won't share in detail.
Thank you.
But it was very embarrassing.
I'm
You're
sure.
welcome. Discretion is the better part of valor.
Yes.
But my naturopath, over the years, and she's not the first naturopath I worked with. I worked with a couple of others before her. But basically, I learned what things my body was not able to digest, because there were just certain foods my body could not process.
Okay.
I found out that my body didn't produce enough digestive enzymes. And so I needed to take some extra digestive enzymes. And this was done over a long period of time. So, first there was a diet change, and then we tried this, and then we tried that, and then we tried this. And right now, I do not, or I very rarely, it's very rare that I have those same embarrassing digestive issues that I used to. And those are very measurable digestive issues that I had. Yeah.
I get it.
So,
that's totally fine with me.
Thing in naturopath.
Were you getting blood tests, blood work, other kind of testing done?
Yes, I was. I've gotten
Beautiful.
a lot of blood work. I've gone to, just a couple of weeks ago, I had to go for iron infusions because I was anemic. And, I went to a reputable lab, got my iron infusions, things like that. So it's done in conjunction with blood work, in conjunction with my allopathic medicine. So all of my doctors, I tell all of them what's going on. And I have found certain natural remedies to help, but I can also point to a bunch that don't.
Exactly.
And,
exactly.
Yeah. So I just don't want the entire field to be written off.
Oh, no.
They do have something to offer, because allopaths can get into a very closed and boxed-in mindset.
Absolutely. What I wanted to stress and said earlier as well is that my big bone of contention with this stuff tends to go in the direction of where they're offering cures. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I will cure your stomach ache. Just take this, potion. Right? I will. Yeah. This is the nope. We're drawing the line here, and we're saying absolutely not. Right? because that's not what this stuff does. Relieving symptoms, supplementing, deficiencies that you might have, which can be found through blood work or through body testing. Hey, I'm down. I am not for blanket remedies of, let's get everybody on vitamins, because that's nonsense.
Right.
But if you got scurvy,
Correct.
you better be taking some vitamins, because you need, you need to supplement your diet. That's the entire point. So it's not even a matter of vitamins are blanket bad. It's a matter of, well, yeah, but your body produces these things naturally. You don't need to supplement them unless you do have a deficiency, right? And Americans are, people in general are extremely undiscerning about these nuances,
Yeah.
So,
and I've heard people carry the argument so far as to say, well, only listen to an allopath, never consult a naturopath, whereas a naturopath is generally more educated about diet, nutrition, things like that, whereas my dad, he's a medical doctor, and he maybe got 1 hour lecture on diet and nutrition and moving on, because there's so much an MD needs to cover.
That's right.
So I think everyone has their place, but I don't think any one has all of the answers. And I think that we can learn from the different disciplines. And I think, of course, things need to be tested rigorously to find out their benefits and what's not beneficial, what has no effect at all.
Exactly. And that's where things like homeopathy as a field, I just dismiss the entire thing out of hand, because not one scientific study really indicates that there's anything to it.
Right.
So
I've tried it. I haven't had any positive experience with it yet. Haven't had any negative experience, but I haven't been able to point to a homeopathic experience I've had and say there was a discernible marking place before and after where I felt significantly better.
Right. So, exactly. Because if you can't show me the study and show that it was done thoroughly, done properly, done double blind, etc., and preferably way more than just one study, right? Because one study in and of itself doesn't really prove much of anything. So you get multiple studies done, and if you can replicate results and these become predictable, now we're in the realm of actual medicine and science, and that's what I'm about. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks for calling in. Good to hear from you.
All right. Thanks for having me. My best to Melissa and Seven.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move toward wrapping up here. I think, yes, we do not have any more calls in the queue, and we've been going for a little while. Touched on some of the things I wanted to touch on with alternative medicine. Got to rail about a few other things, too. I am perfectly open to any other questions real fast before we wrap up. If you guys want to throw something at me in the comments here before we go, I will give you a second while I blab here, and we check in with, there he is. Okay, our last view on the 7 cam, and he's still chilling. Little 7. Yeah, he does that a lot. All right. So, good, guys. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming around and watching and participating. Thanks to the callers. Thanks to my supporters. And also, I will throw out there that I am still endorsing BetterHelp as a sponsor of my channel, of my show here. So, link is below if you guys want to check that out. BetterHelp.com/Chris Shelton is the link if you are looking for any sort of therapeutic assistance with licensed counselors online who can address your concerns and work with you and help you, because they are licensed counselors. Then that is there for you. Robert's asking, have I seen the new Leaving Scientologist Meg? Yes, I have. All right. So with that, let's wrap it up.